welcome to the Theorem podcast. I'm Aspasia Provou, and I'm here to shed light on alternative contemporary knowledge and suggest feasible ways it can be incorporated into our lives. The podcast today is about the macrobiotic philosophy and many more things. My guest is Stavros Karagilanis, a macrobiotics practitioner and educator, and a professional fermentation experimenter, which means that he loves everything fermentation. And in my opinion, he's the embodiment of a holistic approach to life, nutrition, and health. The root of his current path is in yoga. He was a yoga instructor for over a decade. But then he met macrobiotics, which transformed his life. A father of three, Stavros now produces tempe and other fermented goods and spreads the macrobiotic philosophy with love and dedication. Stavros, thank you for joining me at Theorem and welcome.
Thank you so much, Aspasia. It's really great to be with you. I feel real gratitude for doing this. It's always nice to talk with people who are like-minded, and also like you said about myself, you are also in the field of pursuing happiness in life in what is called alternative ways, but to me they're not alternative; they're conventional actually. So let's do it.
Okay. So, first of all, what is the macrobiotic lifestyle and philosophy? Just a definition to start it off.
Yeah, well, there was a definition given after actually so many years. A few years ago in macrobiotic teachers conference, let's say, and this definition I will not give it 100% as it was given, but the essence of it is that macrobiotics is a systematic approach, a lifestyle that is based on values and practices which define the way we're making decisions about our lives.
Hmm.
So, to give you an example and give everybody an example, that means that, for instance, if you believe that doing harm to the planet or the animals is not for you, then this should or would influence your decision making in your buying behavior, for instance,
Of course.
or the way you're raising your kids, or the way you travel, the way you spend your holidays, and everything.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Yeah, so basically this is it. It's macrobiotics. It's a lifestyle, as I said, based a lot also on food eating patterns, and it's actually a theory and practice that, um, how to say this, that observes nature and sees the phenomena through an energetic point of view. In the
Hmm.
Orient, they call this yin yang, which is actually the two energies that create every phenomenon on our system here on our planet, but also in the universe. And this is essentially, um, this comes through observation of the nature around us. So
Hmm.
if we observe, then we can see that we have night and day, winter and summer, cold and heat, um, masculine and feminine energy, dry and dryness and humidity, and so on. So we understand that there are two main energies that characterize life around us. And this can be applied in foods, in behaviors, the way we conduct life in general. And that's
Right.
the essence of it.
Mm-hmm. You mentioned choices. You mentioned how we eat, how we buy, how we travel, and so on, and the kind of impact our choices always have to our lives, to the environment, to our health, to people around us, and so on. Um, so, what is your take on this when it comes to the macrobiotic lifestyle?
What I used to say to my students and friends, of course, and what I learned also from my teachers is that you see, we have an issue regarding things or actions as good or bad.
Hmm.
And this partially, or in a big degree, actually comes also from the connection that societies have with the church and religious endeavors. And that we consider something good or bad. There's evil and heaven and hell and all these things. But actually, what is to give it another perspective, to give another perspective to it, hell is what happens to us that we don't actually like and we don't enjoy because we are here to enjoy our lives. So hell is what we don't enjoy. So if we understand that this comes to a huge degree, I don't want to say, I don't want to be absolute, from our decision making and our actions, then it's easy to understand that, oh, I did this and then I have this result. So then next time I should not do this in order not to have this result. And that's about it, actually. Our choices, the way we think and the way we act, influence the way we live. Just as the way we eat influences the way we form our organs and our body and our cells. So what we do in India, they call it karma. Okay, so what we do has a result, and it happens now. It doesn't happen in past or future times. It could, but we don't know. The one thing that we're certain 100 degree of is that it happens now. So our choices, above all, influence us personally. Even if something influence directly the environment, for instance, like throwing toxic waste in the river, it does influence the lives of the beings in the river and the water quality. But eventually, it will come back to us, one way or another.
Right.
So, so the essence is that whatever we do has an effect. So if we are happy
Hmm.
with the effect, let's go on and continue doing it. If we're not happy with the effect, man, then maybe we should consider changing something. Many
Okay.
things or a few things, I don't know, but something. Because if you don't like the way life is, you know, um, developing in your life and you're still doing the same things, then I don't know how to call this.
You're not
Um,
learning.
yeah, you're not learning, but maybe yeah, maybe you don't want. I think that most people don't want to take responsibility of their lives, and I understand this because it's not easy. You know,
Yes.
taking responsibility is really simple, but not easy.
Yes. I'm thinking of examples. Like, I wish I never used single use plastics, but I
Yeah.
do because I live in a city. I go to the supermarket and I buy goods that are packaged in single use plastics. And I have to take my kids places, so I use the car, and so on and so forth. It's easier said than done. Um, how do you do it?
Huh. Well, first of all, it's important uh, to have the awareness that you're doing the best you can,
Hmm.
and to always look for space to develop and to improve this. So, yeah, I mean, we all live in the same sort of society, so we do have these things going on, like single use plastic, for instance, or the car, as you mentioned. But the essence is to do the best you can at any moment, and to observe things that you wouldn't like to do and try to find solutions.
Hmm.
So, well, for me and for my family and myself, we chose um, a lifestyle that, some people say it's not easy to live, but I say the opposite. It's so much easier to live because we chose to live out of the city,
Hmm.
to raise our children out of the city, and it's also my job also, which is into food and food processing and food trading, allows me, for instance, to get foods in bulk, so I don't use packaged food. Plus, we avoid like hell, like the devil, processed food. So, by avoiding processed food, you instantly eliminate a rather big percentage of packaging in your life.
Hmm.
And, and this is where the philosophy and stance of life, uh, of macrobiotics come into my life,
Hmm.
our lives. Um, so, for instance, we are always looking for ways to improve things. So, uh, when I found out that in the supermarket you can find toilet paper wrapped in paper rather than plastic, I said, "Oh, that's great! Oh, God, it's double price." So, at least I observed this. At some point, now we're getting it. I mean, we're getting this wrapped in paper rather than plastic. But still, this is the best we can because this paper is not printed. It's also printed. I mean, in toxic dyes, in inks. So it's not the best for the environment, but it's better than plastic.
Right.
Um, so I think what supports us in our daily lives is the fact that we are following a macrobiotic, natural lifestyle, which, as I said in the definition of macrobiotics, allows us to take decisions which are, well, apparently better for us because we experience life in a nice manner, in an enjoying manner, with ups and downs, of course, like everybody. But also influences our buying behavior, which is also in a direction of sustainability, let's say.
Hmm. Hmm.
I don't know if that
Stavros.
answered your question. I
Oh,
mean,
yes, you did.
we can talk about practical things, what we do for this occasion, and so on.
Uh, I think it's all right.
Yeah.
My question has been answered. Well, um,
If I may add
there is.
something,
Yes, please.
Um, because I mentioned this, that we don't live in the city. Living in the city, and I say this because I go to the city every week. Few days ago, I was like 3 4 days in a row in Athens. So it's not easy. I mean, living out of the city has some people consider obstacles, like you don't have immediate access to a restaurant or a theater or cinema or things like this, but you have immediate access to nature. In 30 minutes, you're on the mountain with the stream, the river, and things like this. But you're more in peace because of the environment, which is more calming. In the city, you don't have this. So when you feel pressure because of the environment around you, which is not natural, it's much easier to make choices, especially food choices, which are not the best for you. But they are there, these choices, exactly because they counterbalance the effect of the non-natural environment. And that's
Yes, I
why
see
it's
what you're
important
saying.
not to feel guilty about anything, because we are made, and the whole universe is made based on harmony. So we are doing these things. We take these choices to come into harmony. It's just an extreme harmony. It's not that balanced, but it is a harmony after
Mm-hmm.
all, according to Yin Yang.
Yes. Yes.
So you're seeking
You know,
comfort.
seeking comfort, in my opinion, is. I agree with you that it is sometimes is absolutely okay, and eating like a filthy pitogiro or a donut or something of this kind uh, can actually really be soothing to the soul. But this reminds me that food is everything we take in, is not only the sun, but it's also the news, it's also the our social interactions or absence of social interactions, the ads we see, the blue light of the computer and the phone, are you know it's also what we feed ourselves, like our stress and our fears, but at the same time our dreams and our aspirations, and the love we give and the love we take, all of those things, as well as the food we eat. And yeah, how can a person find balance? How can a person um, live more naturally and more as you said, following the laws and the flow of nature under these circumstances?
Last week I had a class, my first class in. I'm teaching in a vegan chef school in Athens. So I had my first philosophy class, and I told my students that food is everything we perceive through our senses, through our sensorial organs. Okay, so something visual is food. If you see something which is nice, happy, or calm, you react accordingly. If you see some harsh scenes, you're stressed. If you watch a thriller movie, you know so the same happens with the sound, with the touch, with smell. If you smell something bad, something that turned bad, or you smell something nice, sweet. So everything that we perceive, any stimulus, is food for us. The issue is that the only one that we are responsible fully and we control 100% is our food. Is
Mm-hmm.
everything we put in here, food or drink, we control it. So, if you live in the center of a big city, which is, you know, dirty because of vehicles and fog and all these things, okay, you can move out, maybe, but still you're there. You cannot change the environment, but you can change what you are going to put in yourself. The strange thing, to connect this with what I was explaining earlier, is that living in a city, which is a non-natural environment, requires eating more natural food.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, because you need to connect with nature in some sense. So food is the best way to connect with nature. So the more natural
Mm-hmm.
your food and the less processed with the chemicals and all these things is, the better. But it happens the opposite. Exactly because you are there, as I said earlier, you are there living a pressure from your work, from the metro that you're packed in, or the traffic jam, or whatever, and you are more prone to make non-natural decisions, which is strange but explainable. Um, anyway, um, so I think it is essential. First of all, let me say this: that we don't live only out of food, and we don't live only out of air and sun. These all feed our body and our spirit also. We also live from um, the electromagnetic field, the frequencies of the universe that come pour down every millisecond of our lives. We also live out of this, and we live also out of, because we are social beings, we live out of our connection with other beings, whether human or any other, even from the vegetal kingdom, not only the animal kingdom. So we live out of emotions as well. And for instance, when you're not stable emotionally, it's another reason to be more careful about your food, because this is not supernatural or anything weird. Everything is explained physically. So our emotions is what our glands excrete in terms of uh,
Hormones.
hormones. Thank you. So what are the glands feeding themselves from? They're feeding themselves from blood, and blood is made from our food. So if you
Right.
have good quality food, then your glands work better and your brain works better, and then your emotions are more stable. So in the end, the essence is food. That's true to my belief, actually, at least. So the essence is food. It all comes down to food at the end of the day. And then it comes to, to for me, it's about, it depends also where you're living, what are your needs, what is your activity, and what are your dreams about life. um, in 2017, I think, September, We had a fantastic teacher visiting from Portugal, macrobiotic teacher, Francisco Varatojo. He's not present on this planet anymore. Um, who was fantastic person. So someone asked him in a class, in a seminar, asked him, what do you think we should eat? Only brown rice so that our food is simple and we get strength, blah 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 blah, and all these things. And he said, yeah, it's fine if you're a monk. This is food for monks. If you want to be a monk, it's perfect. But if you want to be in the society, if you have children and so on, and you have to interact with others and all this, it's not going to work. And it's true. It's true. I mean, I have done this in my life quite a few times, experimenting with foods, and I saw the reaction on me and on the reaction on others, actually. And it is true. We have to adapt a given knowledge, even macrobiotics. You take a basic tool, and then you have to adapt this to your specific needs, personal
Mm-hmm.
needs, and family needs if you have a family. If you ask me, um, and then this is endless because this is about observing how something influences you and the others and adapting. It's observing, and life it is like this: observing and adapting. And for instance, one big mistake we do is that I remember my father. He died when he was 80, and he was telling me, "Oh, don't talk to me about what you do. I like eating what I like eating." I said, "Okay, no problem." And he was 80, 79, and he liked moussaka, for instance, which is a very heavy recipe, right? And he said, that's what I learned, and I like it, and that's what I eat. And I told him, but Dad, you're 79, you're not 30 anymore. Your body cannot process this like it used to. And the past generations didn't learn about this, probably, and of course didn't pass it to newer generations, that we are not the same. I'm now
Mm-hmm.
almost 50. I cannot eat the way I was eating when I was 25 or 30. I could eat literally anything, even poisons. Now, not really.
Yeah, yeah. Um, I love this. I agree with you that as we get older, it's like our what we can handle evolves as well and changes, and yeah, our tolerance to alcohol or sugar or this and that. I definitely see it in myself, and Stavros, is there a way that we can hmm, see ourselves and understand what we need and what we don't anymore? Is there a way that we can kind of self-diagnose what's going on and how our needs have evolved?
Well, um, of course, there are tools about this, especially in the Orient, but also here in Greece. I mean, how did Hippocrates or the ancient healers were doing? Were yeah, giving therapies, for instance. What I want us to understand is that it is essential in a world that is becoming more and more attaching to things, to whatever things, and it is getting harder and harder to become autonomous in your life and the way you are conducting your life. Because the system is built in such a manner so that we are dependent from many things. One of them is our health. So it is important for us to become uh, clear minded in order to have the ability to observe, because most of the times what we observe is is not really clear, and that's why we take wrong decisions. Wrong in the in the sense that, again, the result is not satisfying one.
Okay.
So practices like, for instance, meditation or praying, or something that brings you inside is really important. Just as natural food is important for someone living in a non-natural environment, so is a practice that is bringing you inside in a society that is so extrovert without a clear reason, actually. Um, so that when so that you get the messages.
Mm-hmm.
I think many people have heard about the inner voice.
Mm-hmm.
um, what is the name of the Indian, this Deepak Chopra.
Yep.
Deepak Chopra said once, you go in a appointment for an interview for a job. So you enter inside. If the first impression you get, that's the inner voice, says, "Oh, that's not very nice here," just simply turn around and go out. No one's going to say anything. No one's going to observe. They might see your face for a few seconds and then they will forget about you. But if you start saying, "Oh, maybe, okay, it's nice, clean, it's warm, whatever," oh, you're going to pay it later, and it's going to be harder also. But this inner voice is something that we need to cultivate. Okay, and there are many ways to do this. You know, like I said, for instance, meditation or yoga or psychotherapy. Many ways depending on which aspect of life you like. And then this is the insight that we need to grow, so that when we hear, sorry, excuse me, this inner voice, we can understand whether this is true or not.
Mm-hmm.
And then it's the outside. The outside is much easier. There are many techniques to understand the situation, the condition that we're having. And let me make a clarification here about two concepts. One is the condition, which is the condition of our health, the moment that we are living now. What is my condition now in this period of my life? And the other is the constitution, which is the characteristics we get when we're born, and okay, there are also forming powers during the first few years of our lives. So, if our ears are big or small, or if our eyes are too much apart or too much close one to the other, these are our constitution. Okay, if we have a big head compared to our body, this is our constitution. It doesn't change. But if
Mm-hmm.
we're 100 kilos and we used to be 75 kilos, this is our condition. This is something
Right.
you can change relatively easy or not.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, or if we get a disease during our life, this is a condition which can change. Okay? What doesn't change is, of course, now science can change this too, is oh, you see, I have the sun now in my face. That's a nice sign. It was too cloudy this morning. Thank you. Um, but if you're born with a birthmark, for instance, of course you can remove it with a laser or whatever, but this is something you cannot change essentially. So, observing ourselves, simply observing our face, the face can give a
Mm-hmm.
lot of information according to the Oriental medicine, because parts of our face are connected to organs of our body, and each organ is connected with a specific function and
Mm-hmm.
also with specific emotion and so on. So, shall I give you an example, for instance?
Please do. Please do. Not just
Okay.
one. Give some examples.
So, let's
The most
take,
common ones.
okay, let's take, for instance, the eye bags. Okay. So, I can talk about myself. This morning I woke up and I had a little bit swollen, especially my right eye bag. The left one was less. So the eye bags are connected to our kidneys,
Mm-hmm.
and kidneys are connected to our vital energy, and the lack of their function, let's say, or stagnation of their energy, uh, many times is connected with the expression of fear in our lives.
Yes.
So I observe this. So you wake up, you see this, and then you say something that most of us don't do usually. Is that, oh, what did I do last night or yesterday? What did I have to eat or what did I drink? Okay. So last night I had a glass of wine late in the evening. Actually, before I go to bed, it's something I don't do that often, but I did. And, you know, this morning I woke up with a swollen eye bag. But this is good to know, okay? This is good to know because then it's a good practice for you to observe your habits.
Mm-hmm.
If you don't observe, then you cannot change. Because
Mm-hmm.
even if I come or someone comes and tells you, you do this, you don't listen to this. So the most essential thing is to observe. And then
Mm-hmm.
you work with your understanding and with your beliefs, and you make changes or not. But
Mm-hmm.
the face has a lot of information about
Can you give
our
another
body.
example? One
And
more.
and as I said, uh, of course, I said this already, but someone feeling fearful can understand, which is not a bodily, immediately a bodily connection there, but it is because fear is, an emotion, let's say. So someone who is fearful can connect this with the face and the organ that is responsible about it.
Mm-hmm. Could you give another example of signs on the face that we could?
Yep. Yeah.
Yeah.
I think most of us have experienced pimples, no?
Yep.
So let's see, where do usually pimples appear on our face? Could you give me an example?
Well, I usually get them here,
Okay, in the front or the side?
the side of my jaw.
Okay, so pimples can appear in many areas of our head, actually. Can be appear here, can be on the cheek, Here you said here, you know. So each area is connected to different organs. Um, so, for instance, here is more the reproductive organs, sexual organs. First of all, we need to see the difference because there are some pimples that are red, some have
Mm-hmm.
pus, some don't. Some are simply red, some are like like calluses, the
Yep.
color of the skin a little bit hard, like being underneath. So
Mm-hmm.
many different things, and each one gives its color gives a different source of its creation, and also the point gives different source of creation. Um, so here, as I said, is reproductive. Here is um, the lungs, and here is mostly um, um, stomach and the whole food processing area,
Digestion.
um, the gastrointestinal tract. That's correct term. Um, and here is the our intestines.
Oh, right. Okay.
So, different spots indicate a different organ, and then you can say this probably comes from too fat, to the consumption of too much fat. For instance, if it's especially if it's pus and yellow, or if it's red, could be too much spices and too much salt also. And also we can observe what we observe is actually color, not only about pimples. Generally, we
Mm-hmm.
observe color, we observe the spots, we observe wrinkles, and then the quality of the skin, if it's swollen or not, if it's watery or if it's hard, things like this.
Mm-hmm.
uh, and it's relatively easy. Anyone can get even a book to do this, or take some classes online, or in a physical form, which I would recommend more. Um, and it's an easy way to understand where we are, and even more to learn to observe.
Right.
And
Stavros, you.
and
Yes?
to finish this, sorry, I'm sorry about this. To finish this, by being able to understand this knowledge, it can influence even the way we make decisions about choosing a partner, for instance, a love
How
partner
do you
or a
mean that?
partner in our business.
How do you mean that?
Well, um, some this applies to both the condition, but also mostly to the constitution.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so you can see if someone is has longevity, for instance, or if someone is a short tempered person. You can even observe cancer on the face by the color of the skin long before it comes. Long, I mean, few
Wow.
months before it comes.
Wow.
Yeah.
So, how can we tell if somebody is gonna live long? Or how can we tell if this person is suitable to be my partner or my business partner or my um, life partner?
Well, for this, you need to have the knowledge and the understanding of the diagnosis and the observation, as I said. I'm going to
Okay.
focus on this a lot because, okay, for instance, someone who has big ears, long, big ears, like people used to have a lot, you see some old people like this. This is a good sign of longevity. But
Uh
then
huh.
you have to observe this person. Is he eating does he have a good um, um, eating pattern? If he's not, his constitution is not going to save him a lot. So then you need to observe how is this person conducting his life. You can have someone who is very bright and smart, but if he's living his life in chaos, he's not going to take full advantage of this.
Mm-hmm.
So then you have to see how is he living his lifestyle.
Right. This is in a way common sense as well. By observing a person, you can tell more or less how they live, what they prefer, how they treat people. It's easy to see. There are many signs, indications.
Yes, it is. But I have the feeling that we live in a world that is losing more and more common sense every day.
Yes, I agree. Yeah, it's
And
sad. Yeah.
some things it's not easy to know people in depth. So you can observe someone, for instance, being nice and friendly and this and that and whatever, but his eating patterns are not that, you know they're, I would say, they're influential in a bad manner to this,
Mm-hmm.
and it will take some time to to be to give a result which is the opposite that what this person is looking like. But if you know that this pattern is this or that, it creates this effect or the other effect, then you know where is this going to end. And then you talk with this
Mm-hmm.
person, you say, you ask, what is your opinion about this, the food, or, and then you see how it goes. But as you said, it is common sense. But unfortunately, we don't live in a common sense world. I mean, it's not common sense to live in an avenue of Athens full of cars, is it?
Yes.
But
No,
still,
it's
people
not.
do live there. But
Yes.
people do live there
Yes.
because they consider common sense that they have a job 9 to 5, getting 600 euros and living in filth.
Mm-hmm.
You know. Oh God, I
Stavros,
don't. I hope people don't listen to this.
um, well, um, you mentioned earlier Hippocrates and the ancients. And well, we're both Greek, and we know more or less what Hippocrates taught and his philosophy. And I'm wondering, do you believe that all of this information, the ancient wisdom and ancient medicine, do you believe that it's relevant today? Is it still valid?
Well, humankind and human race hasn't changed that much. We have the same
Hmm.
day, sorry, we have the same DNA like we used to have, 3,000 years ago. So it is relevant, but our conditions changed. So we cannot anymore say that, Grandpa Hippocrates was eating this and this, so I'm going to eat the same. No, my friend, because Hippocrates didn't have GSM radiation or Wi Fi, and he was not carrying with him what I call in Greek blibliki, this machine anyway. And he was not in front of a computer 3, 4, 5, 6, 10 days, 10 hours a day, and he did not have to go to the gym to work out. He had natural way of working out, and of course the quality of his food was different. So everything was different
Mm.
actually. So we can apply the same principles, but as I said earlier, applied, adapted, sorry, to our needs and our conditions. So,
So how do we do that? How do you what do you suggest for people who live in cities, who shop in supermarkets, who go to the gym, who eat at restaurants? What do you suggest?
well, the first thing is the application of a more natural eating pattern. So I do suggest macrobiotics, especially for people who are living in the city, because it's very natural, and you can find solutions in the supermarket. Of course, you can. There are so many natural foods in the supermarkets. It's just that we are attracted by the non-natural because of marketing, because of packaging, and so on. And the
Please give
natural
examples
foods
of
also.
natural foods.
Sorry.
Could you please give examples of natural
Yeah.
foods that can be
Sure.
found in the supermarket and are good choices?
Yeah. So basically, the macrobiotic diet is that if you make choices in the frame of choosing whole grains as much as closer to their natural form as possible, which is the grain form, then the flake, then the bulgur, then the semolina, then the bread and the flour. So whole grains, vegetables, seasonal, local, organic, and legumes. So if your dish is based on these three, then all the rest come as a complementing force to them. Then you do make a safe choice about your life and your food. And this is it. If you're feeding yourself with brown rice, organic brown rice, and you have some legumes during the day and a lot of seasonal vegetables, a lot of green vegetables which are very relaxing, then you make a standard good choice, and then you adapt it, and then the rest,
Hmm.
like fats, oils, fruits, whatever. These are secondary elements of your diet, you know, and
What's
this you can find in
impressive?
any supermarket.
Hmm. Yes. What is impressive is that what you just described, this triangle, it has many common elements with the food pyramid and the healthy food plate, and all of those tools that help us understand what healthy eating is about. And it's very simple, yet, uh, as you said before, it's we are very tempted, especially people who live in cities, to do otherwise, to have a slice of pizza or a pastry or something like that. um so what do you think of that?
Well, a slice of pizza is not a bad thing. Even the whole pizza is not a bad thing. the, The issue is when the opposite is happening, when we have a slice of brown rice in our lives instead of the opposite. So I understand that following a healthy lifestyle is not easy when you're tempted to do otherwise. However, we need to understand that we live in a society that is fearful of death, and we saw this through the health crisis that we went through. It was all based on the fear of death,
Mm-hmm.
but we don't understand that we are going to die, and at some point, sooner or later, doesn't matter, we are going to die. And on the other hand, we do nothing about it. I mean, this is absurd. You know, oh, I'm going to die, but I don't do anything about it. And actually, it's not about doing things about not dying. It's about living living your life with dignity. So I fully understand what you say, and I agree. And that's why, if we look back in history, we will see that the changes come from minority, not from the mass.
Mm-hmm.
Positive or negative changes, they all come from a minority because the rest of the people are just simply following. So I think it comes up to some people to show this. Um, I don't want to talk about ethics because I don't believe in ethics, apart from the ethics of nature. Um, it comes up to some people to show the way to the mass.
Mm-hmm.
And personally, uh, this is what I'm trying to do, to share things with people, and that's why I like the idea of doing this podcast with you, because some people um, might get some inspiration
Inspired?
out
Yes.
of it. And this is it. If two, three, five, 10 people listen to this and decide to change, it's a nice thing. So I would suggest one safe way is for people to find someone who has the experience to show them the way to change, like
Mm-hmm.
I did with my teacher, for instance, and I still do. I mean, whenever I had something which is really hard to overcome, then I called her and I said, "What do you think?" And she gives an opinion. I don't always follow her opinion because I need to also experiment and learn from my own mistakes. And that's it. Learn from your mistakes, try to get someone to assist you on the path to change and improving yourself, and keep observing, and things will come. Change will come
Wow,
definitely,
that's so.
because change is the only uh, certain thing in life. The only certain thing in life is that it changes.
Yes, yes. What a wonderful way to end this. I love it. I
Yeah.
love it. Stavros, thank you very, very much.
It was an honor, really. I always liked talking with you, and I hope all the best for your podcast. It should go and will go to those ears that really seek changing their lives and improving their lives.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you for listening to the Theorem podcast. Connect with me on social media at Aspasia Provou and at theorem.podcast and share your thoughts. You may support us on Patreon. Visit the website aspasiaprovou.com/theorem for more. Τα λέμε σύντομα. Meaning talk to you soon in Greek. Aspasia's Theorem podcast does not provide advice, medical or any other kind. It just presents the opinions of its host and guests. If you have any specific problems, please visit your physician or a medical expert for help. Anything said should not be taken as a replacement for medical, clinical, or professional advice, diagnosis, or medical intervention. The episodes of Aspasia's Theorem podcast may, at times, cover sensitive topics, including, but not limited to, mental health, nutrition, health, politics, spirituality, alternative medicine, energy healing, and the use of plant medicines. You're advised to refrain from continuing if you are adversely impacted by any of these topics.